Come in. Good morning. This is July the 2nd, Tuesday, 2024. And we are in BBIS second semester compulsory English class. In the previous class, somebody was presenting on research perspectives from the essay Understanding Cultural Identities and in Intercultural Communication, the 10-step inventory, the essay by Mary Jane Collier. Something is left in that essay, but I will cover that later on. Right now, I'm moving on to a new essay, which is adaptation to new culture. This essay is written by, who is the author? Can you tell? Yang Yun Kim. By Yang Yun Kim. And this essay has 6 sections, as you can see here. First, she introduces her topic and makes a claim. Then the writer talks about stress and adaptation and growth. When we go to a foreign country, we have stress because it's a new place, new people, new language. Then we change and we grow. Then in the second section, she talks about the role of communication in cultural adaptation. The question that this writer is answering here is why some people follow new culture quickly, whereas other people take longer time to adopt a new culture. Why some people adopt fast and why other people adopt slowly. And her answer is that the rate of adaptation varies from people to people because there are many reasons which affect the process of adaptation. And she says that the elements, the factors that affect the process of adaptation are like role of communication. Communication is how we talk to people. Then she talks about personal communication and she talks about social communication. Then, after having talked about role of communication, the writer talks about role of environment. And under environment, she talks about concepts like host receptivity, host conformity, and ethnic growth strength. Then she talks about role of predisposition. Predisposition is our attitude, our outlook, our personality, our character. And under predisposition, she talks about preparedness, how well we prepare before we go to new culture. She talks about ethnicity, what's our background, cultural, religious, and racial background. And then she talks about personality. So Collier introduces the essay and discusses the factors affecting cultural adaptation under 1, 2, 3, and 4 headings. And then finally, at the end of the essay, she summarizes her whole essay and she talks about cultural integration. This is the plan of the essay, and if you can keep this slide in your mind, you are ready for the exam to write, I guess. I was on Saturday, I just thought how to prepare for the class, and just to share with you, I took these papers and with my marker, I just prepared these paper slides. I call them paper slides. It took me whole day. Not only day, I was working even around 11 o'clock at night. Throughout night. And look the effort. And when I did this, I understood the essay clearly. So, पढ्यो भने आउँछ नि. पढ्यो भने आउँछ. नपढिकन गुगल गर्यो भने आउँदैन. नपढिकन गुगल गर्यो भने आउँदैन. पढ्नुको विकल्प छैन. र तपाईहरुसँग मेरो गुनासो के हो? तपाईहरुले पढ्नुको विकल्प खोज्नुहुन्छ. Okay, come in. Oh, we haven't done. So, Bigya, you do it. So writer begins by saying that today a lot of people are moving from one country to another country. And if you see the media, you will see that this movement is mainly from Eastern countries, less developed countries, developing countries, undeveloped countries, to the Western countries, developed countries like America, Australia, Britain, Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc. So the huge number of people are going from the less developed countries into the more developed countries. आज म बोलिरहेको छु तपाईँ सुन्नुहोस् है, म यसरी बोलिरहँदाखेरि तपाईँले सुन्नु भएको छैन भने मलाई फेरि म झ्याप्पै रिसाउँछु। यसरी मैले सिरियसली पढिरहेको बेलामा कसैले यहाँ सुनिरहेको छैन, चकचक गरिरहेछ, ध्यान दिएको छैन भन्ने भयो भने म झ्याप्पै जान्छु, तपाईँसँग झगडा गर्छु, रिसाउँछु। सो बी केयरफुल। म बोल्दा सुन्नुपर्छ। म पहिले इन्फर्म गरिरहेको छु है, मैले भने आजको क्लास टीचर सेन्टर्ड हुन्छ। So who goes to foreign countries and for what reason? Politicians go, economists go, artists go, right? Like, why do they go? They go because of natural disaster. They leave their country, they immigrate. They go for economic need, they need job. They go for freedom. They say in my country there is dictatorship. In North Korea, for example, they run away. They go for security reason because they don't feel safe in Nepal. They go to America for future, right? They go for their betterment, right? Who goes? Some people go permanently. They apply for PR, etc. They don't come back. Other people go for short time. Now, travelers like diplomats have to move from country to country, military personnel, government agencies, government employees, Peace Corps volunteers, researchers, professors, students, missionaries, business employees, accountant, teacher, athlete, construction worker, artists, musicians, writers, laborers, farmers, seasonal workers. Many people go to developed countries looking for opportunities. This is how she begins her essay. So she establishes the fact that today there is enormous interface of culture. People from one culture, people from collectivistic cultures are moving into the individualistic cultures in huge numbers. नबोल्ने है, मैले दोहोऱ्याइरहेको छु। मैले यहाँ पढेर जाँदा यता पनि नहेर्ने, उता पनि नहेर्ने, ढा पनि नबोल्ने, भा पनि नबोल्ने, त्यसो गरेर घोडा जस्तो मलाई सुन्ने सिधा। ध्यान दिएर सुन्ने, टिप्ने, अरू केही नगर्ने। सुन्ने, टिप्ने। I need strong attention your class आज because I am speaking. Now, when these people move to the west from the east, from collectivist culture to individualistic culture, they face difficulties. They face difficulties. And this essay talks what difficulties they face and how do they tackle with the difficulties, what experience they have, and how they move from their culture to the other culture. The people who go to foreign country will use the word stranger for them. And the country where they go, will call it a home culture, home country. So if I go to America, America is a home culture. Sorry, I made a mistake. America is the host culture. Correct it. I made a mistake. America is the host culture where I go, and Nepal will be my home culture. So in the beginning, I'll be a stranger there because I don't know people. People don't know me. So a stranger versus host culture. And this essay discusses the stranger's experience of cultural adaptation in the host culture. Are you getting my point? Okay, listen very carefully, very attentively. I hope you will get me. Okay. So, many people go permanently, many people go for short term. What happens to these people is that the people who go to foreign countries, many times these people have self-imposed isolation. What is self-imposed isolation? They remain inside their room. I called my uncle. He was in Australia a few months back, 2 months before. And I talked for 1 hour. Then I said, Ani, dinbari ke garनुहुन्छ बुवा? के गर्ने छोरा? छोरा काममा जान्छ, बुहारी काममा जान्छ, उताकोलाई मैले चिन्दिनँ, उताकोलाई मैले चिन्दिनँ, कोही यहाँ नेपाली बोल्ने छैन, ढोका लगाउने अनि टिभी हेर्ने बस्ने. I said, कतै जानुहुन्न? अब गएर बाटो सोध्न जान्दिनँ, कता भन्ने जान्दिनँ, हरायो भने के भने जान्दिनँ. घरै बस्नुहुन्छ, रुममै बस्छु. वर्षभरि 1 वर्ष भयो. अब नेपाल फर्किने हो. And he has come back. They impose isolation, meaning they don't go out because they can't function properly. They don't know how to talk. They don't know the language. They don't know the manners. Right? Okay. Now, what is self-imposed isolation? They contact new culture individuals very minimum, right? They engage minimum. They limit their adaptation to base minimum, just doing necessary things. So they confine themselves inside the room, right? So what is the concept here? Self-imposed isolation. When strangers come into a host country, what do? They isolate themselves. Why? Because they don't know how to speak, they don't know how to behave. Okay. Now, I said earlier that they begin their life as strangers. People begin their life as strangers. Now ask a question. Why do they feel strange? Because if I'm Nepali and if I go to America, then I have my Nepali culture in my mind. There is a blueprint, there is a manuscript of Nepali culture. I know pretty well ke kasari garne, kasari bolne, I know everything. But when I go to America, when I see people doing, my belief system, my idea of Nepali culture does not work there. And I feel that those guys are queer people. Oh, why is he kissing in public? Oh, I don't like it. It doesn't happen in my country. Oh, why is he eating and walking? Oh, why are they eating with a fork? They should eat with the hand. So my cultural assumptions, practices, belief systems don't match with their. So I feel strange. So I say, oh, it's very strange. What is strange? Strange means not familiar. Not familiar, odd. Now, when I feel strange, when your behavior, you are Americans, I am Nepali, and when the way you live life does not match with the way I live life, then there is a problem in our communication. Then what happens? I have uncertainty and anxiety in my mind. I am worried. Kati galti hune ho ki, bolda galti hune ho ki, hasna hune ho ki, nahune ho ki, luga kasa laar hinnu parne ho, wahako luga hune ki nahune ho. I have these uncertainties, right? Now, why do I have uncertainty? Because my beliefs, my style of life does not work over there. Now, what happens this means, now I have a pressure. Pressure what? I have to learn how they think. I have to learn how they talk. I have to learn how they walk. I have to learn how they eat. I have to learn their culture. I have to learn their culture. And this process of learning their culture is called acculturation. Say with me, acculturation. Everybody, acculturation. Loudly, acculturation. Everybody say it. Sabele bolus na. Acculturation. A-C-C-U-L-T-U-R-A. किन बोल्नु भएन? तपाईलाई बोलाउनुमा रिजन छ, यो ड्रिल गराएको, ड्रिल गराएपछि बसतीमा गराएको. तपाईलाई लाज लाग्छ ड्रिल गर्दा. ड्रिल गर्दा के भयो? लाज लाग्यो, बच्चा जस्तो भयो. तपाई बच्चै हो. Say with me, acculturation. Okay. So I have to learn the American culture. On the other hand, I must forget my Nepali habit. होटलमा गयो, खाना ल्याइदियो, गम हातले खायो भने कस्तो फोरी बन्ला? छि, हातले खान्छ. नेपालमा त गजबले खाइन्छ. I have to forget. I have to forget my Nepali culture. So learning new culture is acculturation. Forgetting old culture is deculturation. Say with me, deculturation. Say deculturation. Now, I go through two processes, acculturation and deculturation. I am learning the American culture, for example, and I am trying to forget my Nepali habit. This acculturation and deculturation causes stress in me. It causes pressure. Because every day I have to learn new ways and I have to make sure I don't follow Nepali style. So acculturation, and what causes stress? Acculturation and deculturation. What causes stress? And deculturation. Now, when stress happens, sometimes there is too much stress, we are psychologically disturbed, and sometimes we break down, we lock in the room ourselves, and we are so sad, so frustrated, and we are not able to function properly because of this pressure to learn new culture and forget old culture. Now, when this pressure of learning new culture and forgetting old culture is too strong, we call this culture shock. Say it. एकजना हजुरआमालाई नातिनीले अस्ट्रेलिया बोलाउनु भयो, जानुभयो, हजुरआमा यहाँबाट कस्तो लगिदिएर एक दिन बिचमा घुम्न जानुभयो, हजुरआमालाई नातिनी लिएर गयो, बिचमा गएको सबै बिक्री लगाएर बसेको छ। हजुरआमा बिचरा यहाँ गाउँमा खुट्टै नदेखाएको हैन, साडी लाउनु भएको मान्छे त्यहाँ त बिक्री र ब्रा लगाएर बसेको छ, टपलेस भएर नि बस्छ मान्छेहरू, बिच त बिच हो। अब हजुरआमालाई के भयो त, सक भयो, कहाँ ल्याएको नातिनी, मलाई यो नङ्गै छ, लैजा घर लैजा बस्दैन म, सक। You see something which you can't accept easily. A behavior that is so unnatural to you, unfamiliar, you feel uneasy. So say with me, acculturation, deculturation, culture shock. Okay. Now the problem is, you have to follow the American cultural identity. You have to forget Nepali cultural identity. So for some time, you are going through forget and remember process. Forget and remember process. Forget Nepali style, remember American style. So sometimes chances are you are confused, ke garne wala. And when there is this confusion, we call it state of disequilibrium. Say with me. State of disequilibrium. Say.
State of disequilibrium.
Disequilibrium means you don't have balance. You don't have balance. Now when there is disequilibrium or lack of balance between learning new culture and forgetting old culture, and when there is stress because of new cultural activities, what do? You follow defense mechanism. Say with me, defense mechanism.
Defense mechanism.
What is defense mechanism? Defense mechanism is what you do to manage tension in new culture. Defense mechanism is what you do to manage stress in new culture. For example, you will go through selective attention. What is selective attention? I will listen to Nepali people in the market. I will not listen to Americans. Or I will listen to what is comfortable to me. I will ignore what is not comfortable to me. Selective attention. Attending only what is okay or comfortable and ignoring what is difficult. Second is denial. घरबाट फोन आउँछ, छोरा सन्चै छ, ठिक छ पाप, राम्रो भइरहेछ, अनि नयाँ ठाउँमा केही समस्या केही छैन, सबै समस्या भइरहेछ. But I deny nothing is wrong with me, things will get fine. Denial is you are having problem and you say I am not having problem. Denial is also your American friend says let's go for walking in the park and you think you can't talk to him, so you say no, I won't go. Denial is saying no to things. You start saying no to your friends, no to invitation, no to travel, visiting. Okay, then next is hostility. When tension grows more, you start feeling bad about the American people. You don't like them. You don't like the Chinese. You don't like the Americans, Australians, because you think you are having problems because of them. Then you go through, finally when it's too much, you feel like you're going mad. You behave like a mad person, right? Then you avoid meeting people, you avoid contacting, you avoid phoning people, you avoid visiting people. And finally when it's too much, you may call home and say, बुवा म त सकिन बस्न अमेरिकामा, मलाई टिकट काट्ने पैसा पठाइदिनु, म अर्को हप्ता आउँछु, and you come back to Nepal. This does not happen to everybody, but it may happen if you fail to adapt with new situation. Okay. So there is stress, and when there is stress, you have defense mechanism. But the good thing is that stress encourages you to change. Stress encourages you to change. You say, I can't go home, I must change. And when you are ready for change, you grow. From Nepali culture, you move to American culture, you grow. Right? Okay. So stress works as an impetus for adoption, and you learn new culture, you have self-adjustment, right? You say, I must change, right? And then this learning of new culture happens at 3 levels: cognitive habit, affective habit, and behavioral habit. I'll explain in a while. Now there is something called stress adaptation growth dynamic. What is that? You have stress because you don't know the new culture. Then you are ready for change. You adopt the new culture. You follow their way. So stress brings you down. Stress brings you down. Adaptation takes you up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and you grow. New culture, stress, you learn, you change, you follow that new culture, and you grow. This is called stress adaptation growth dynamic. Stress brings you back and you leap forward. You move back, there is stress, you come back and you jump ahead. Coming back, returning back and jumping, right? That is stress adaptation growth dynamic. Okay, now let's talk about what factors influence this adaptation dynamic. What affects cultural adaptation? So the first factor that affects cultural adaptation is communication. What is communication? Communication is language. Communication is interaction, right? Talking to people. So some people learn new culture fast. Some people learn new culture slow. Why this happens? Why some people learn new culture faster? Why some people learn new culture slow? It's because of communication process. Because some people can adopt new communication faster, some people can adopt new communication slower. Because when you are Nepali in Nepal, you learn Nepali culture very fast because you are a native. But when you go to America, you are a stranger, you are non-native. So it takes time and it is very painful. Learning new language, new culture is always painful, right? Okay. Social communication can be broken down into 2 types: personal communication and social communication. Let's say communication we can break 2 times, sorry. Communication has 2 parts: personal communication and social communication. Personal communication is, let's say, private communication. For example, my mental activities, my mental ability, how I look at things, how I listen to people, how I watch them, how I observe, how I function. It is like offline computer, one computer, not connected to internet. So one computer, input, output. Now social communication is me versus others, more than 2 people, more than 2 people. Social communication is like online computer. Your computer is connected to 1,000 computers. Right now I am connected to 20 people here, right? हामी कुरा गरिरहेको छौँ नि, मैले तिमीलाई गाली गरिरहेको छु, हल्ला नगर, नबोल, सुन मलाई भनिरहेको छु, टु वे भइरहेको छ नि, टु वे छैन तर मैले सुनाइरहेको छु, 2 पार्टी जाँदा. Okay. So I said personal or interpersonal communication is about mental process, how I see, how I hear, how I understand, how I respond to the environment, right? How I make sense of the things, how I act towards others, and how I adapt my environment. Now another word. Now as I go to America, for example, the American culture, American language, American lifestyle will be called host communication competence. We will call it host communication competence. For example, Americans can definitely speak better English than me. Americans understand things better than me over there because it is their culture. So host communication means speaking, talking, exchanging message, sharing message. Competence means ability. Ability to function in society is called host communication competence. Say with me, host
Host.
communication
Communication.
competence.
Competition.
So this is capacity to decode and encode information in a foreign culture, right? For example, हाम्रो नेपाली असाध्यै राम्रो छ, म कति गजब नेपाली बोल्छु, हिंदी भी आती है, पैदा हुआ भारत में तो क्यों नहीं आएगी, अब भोजपुरी बढ़िया वाला कैसे बच्चे से बोलत बानी. I know 3 languages. So I have 3 host communication competence. If I go to Tarai, बढ़िया से बात कर ली, जाए तो बतिया ले से का भइल का ना भइल, खैले बाना ना खैले बाना. If I go to India, अच्छे से बात कर लेंगे, आती है हिंदी, बच्चे से बोले हैं. नेपाल में बोले हाल्छ, नेपाली आउँछ त बच्चाबाट बोले आओ. I know English also. Now, I have this communication competence in 4 languages, right? But if I go to China, I can't. I can't. Ni hao, I don't know how to say. I don't have Chinese communication competence, right? So, native people acquire this competence very easily. Strangers acquire this painfully with lots of difficulty. Okay, now what is host communication competence? There are 3 types of competences. Cognitive competence, say with me, cognitive competence,
Cognitive competence.
affective competence,
Cognitive competence.
operational competence.
Operational competence.
Okay, cognitive competence is the knowledge of the new language. It is knowing the history of the new country, knowing the institutions of the new country, knowing the laws, regulations, worldview, belief, norm, rule of the new country. It's about knowledge. Cognition, knowing, knowledge. Second is affective, understanding their emotions and feelings. Understanding their emotions and feelings. Operational is ability to interact in public. Ability to interact in public, ability to appreciate people. Okay, now let's move to social communication. We talked about interpersonal communication, where we talked about host communication competence, and we talked about cognitive competence, we talked about affective competence, we talked about interactive or interpersonal competence. Now we talk about social communication. Social communication is about social communication activities. मलाई पढाउन आउँछ, I have social communication competence. It is about being involved in social activities, participating in public places, right? Okay. Now, interpersonal communication is also known as face-to-face communication. Right now, we have face-to-face communication. So, this is also interpersonal communication, right? This is also interpersonal communication. Now, when we have face-to-face communication, we easily understand how you feel, we know your non-verbal cues, we understand how you are responding, right? Then, we have something called mass communication activities. For example, you come to LSM college, you come to class, teachers come, this is called mass communication activity. You go in the canteen in the break, that's mass communication activity. You go to market, that's mass communication activity. How do you learn new culture? You learn new culture by participating in the mass communication activity. You learn new culture by participating in the mass communication activity. The more you go to market, the more movies you watch, the more you go to college, school and you talk to people, the faster you learn new culture. What are the sources of mass communication activity? Like listening to radio, watching television, reading newspaper, reading magazines, watching movies in theater, going to museums and watching art, listening to music and watching drama. These are sources of mass communication activities, and strangers learn new culture through these mass communication activities. Okay. Now, these mass communication activities like radio, TV, newspaper, what do they do? They tell you about the world view about the host culture. They tell you about the myths about the host culture. They make you familiar with their belief, their values, their norms and their Now, there are two forms of mass communication experience. You learn about mass communication either through informational messages, right? This classroom is information message because I'm informing you about this topic. Or through entertainment message. For example, you could watch a movie and learn about American culture. You can learn about American culture two ways: by reading a book, that is informational message, or by watching a comedy, that is entertainment message. And we can get all these in a newspaper, magazine, TV, we watch teleserial, web series, comedy. Okay. Now, what is the effect of mass communication adaptation during initial phase? In the beginning, when we go to a new culture, like if I go to America, in the beginning what will happen? I will be very frustrated. Why? Because in the beginning I don't understand their competence, I don't understand their activity, I don't understand their language, and I am quite frustrated. And when I am frustrated, एकजना साथीले भन्नुहुन्छ क्यानाडा जानुभएछ, भोलिपल्ट चाहिँ भोक लागेछ, भोक लागेपछि ल पसलमा जानु पर्यो, के चाहिँ हेर्नु पर्यो भनेर स्टोरमा जानुभएछ, ग्रोसरीमा, अनि पाउडी किन्नु भएछ, अनि त्यो पसलेले अन द गो भनेर सोधेर के बुझ्दै बुझ्नु भएन, अनि अन द गो भनेपछि उहाँले नो भन्नुभयो, उसले प्याक गरेर दियो, सिल प्याक गरेर दियो, उहाँले किनेको खानालाई थियो अनि बाटोमा चेत्र खाएँ भन्नुहुन्थ्यो कि अन द गो भने के रहेछ, विल यु इट वाइल वाकिङ or do you want to take it home? नेपालमा त अङ्ग्रेजी त्यसै बोलेको छैन. He has no idea what is on the go, for example. And you feel awkward because you when you don't understand the other person, you feel quite awkward, right? Then sometimes what happens, people criticize you, यति पनि आउँदैन, and you feel negative, you feel very bad, right? And then as you feel bad, you stop meeting people, you withdraw, you lock yourself in the room, you don't go with your friends, right? And finally, what do? You don't meet people, but rather you like to watch TV and learn. You don't learn culture face-to-face meeting, you learn culture by watching mass media like TV, radio, etc. Okay, now next we talked about role of communication so far. In role of communication, we talked about personal communication, social communication, we talked about host communication competence, we talked about cognitive competence, we talked about affective competence, we talked about interpersonal communication competence. Now we talk about role of environment. Now it will focus on three elements: role of receptivity, role of conformity, and role of ethnic growth. What is receptivity? If I go to America and if I am living in a house as a paying guest, for example, then I have my landlord, landlady, family, their family, Americans, I am the Nepali. So my behavior must be accepted by them. एक फेरि के भन्छ, मैले फेसबुक पढेको एउटा नेवार चाहिँ के अरे एउटा अमेरिकन काठमाडौँमा नेवार फ्यामिलीमा होमस्टे बस्नुभएको रहेछ, मैले फेसबुक देखेँ है. अनि 2-3 महिना बसे पछाडि उहाँले एक दिन चाहिँ त्यो घरको छोरीलाई बाहिर आँगनमा किस गरिदिनु भएछ. फ्यामिली त फायर. अब उहाँलाई त्यो नर्मल रहेछ, फ्यामिलीलाई किस गर्ने सामान्य कुरा रहेछ, छोरीलाई किस गरिदिनु भयो. मैले फेसबुकमा देखेको यो के भयो त भन्दाखेरि, द्याट अमेरिकन did not know that kissing somebody like that is not acceptable by Nevari culture. We don't receive that behavior. So what is host receptivity? Do you accept my behavior or no? So when I go to America, the problem I face, I must behave in such a way that they accept my behavior. One. What is host conformity pressure? If you have watched the movie Titanic, हेरेछ भने एक ठाउँमा त हिरो चाहिँ हुन्छ, हिरो लोअर क्लासको मान्छे हुन्छ मुभीमा, अनि त्यो त्यहाँ जाने मान्छे धेरै धनी मान्छे हुन्छ कि, हेरेमै धनी हुन्छ. अनि एक ठाउँमा त्यो खाना खाने बेला आउँछ, अनि त्यो उसलाई त्यो डिनर सेटको जुन नाइफहरू यताउता छ नि, त्यो चलाउन आउँदैन कि, उसले जानेको छैन त्यो. अनि कस्तो फन गर्छ, उसलाई कस्तो जिस्काउँछ, गिजाउँछ, होच्याउँछ कि त्यसलाई. That is called host conformity pressure. When you go to a new culture, you must behave according to their style. You must conform. Your behavior must match with their expectation. If your behavior does not match with their behavior, their culture, they will make fun of you. They will laugh at you. They will scold you. They will ignore you. Third is ethnic group students. What is that? If you, for example, if you go to Australia, Australia में तो लाखों नेपाली छ. There is no problem. But if you go to a country where only there are 100 Nepali, for example, if you as a Nepali in America, in a state in very less number, 100 people only, then what will happen? You will have to learn their culture, because you will always see Americans around, you will rarely see Nepali people. But suppose you go to a country where there are 1,000 Nepalese, 10,000 Nepalese in one place, जहाँ गएर नेपाली नै भेटिन्छ अस्ट्रेलिया जस्तो, then you will meet most Nepalese. बसमा गएर नेपाली ड्राइभर हुन्छ हैन, कतै नेपाली भेटिन्छ. So you are not in a pressure to learn Australian culture. You can do with Nepali culture. So if your group in that foreign culture is very large, you can work without following their culture very clear, very much. But if your group is less in number, you have got to follow their culture, because you are in minority, they are in majority. Always remember, minority follows the culture of majority. Right? Okay. So I have talked about it. I'll move to slides. I won't deal in detail here. I told you these three things. Now I'll go to the fourth element. That is predispositional factors. What is predisposition? If I go to America, I'm a person. I'm a human being. I have my personality. I have my character. My character, my personality, my nature, my swabhav decides whether I can follow American culture faster or slower, I cannot. For example, when we go to foreign country, we bring our enthusiasm. Some people are lazy to learn new things. Some people are very eager to learn new things. If I'm enthusiastic about new things, I will learn faster. If I'm lazy, I will learn slow. Some people are very determined. No, America जाने हो, जेवन त्यही बस्ने हो, त्यही सिक्ने हो. If I'm determined, I'll adopt faster. If I'm not determined, I'll learn slow. Now, then some people are open to new change. They like new change. They change their dress, they change their behavior, their habit, style. Those people are open to new things. They will learn new culture very fast. Whereas there are people who say, no, I am too old to change. No, I won't change. They learn culture very slow. Now, under predisposition, we'll focus on three factors. One is preparedness, another is ethnicity, another is personality. And okay, let's focus on each. What does predisposition mean? Readiness for dealing with the new environment. If you are quite ready, preparedness means being ready for learning new culture, right? Okay. Then, what influences your preparedness? For example, your expectation. I had a friend here, I won't name him on the camera, but he got a visa for Canada 6 months before, and he spent 6 months preparing to go there. And now I see that he is running a business there. He has no problem. Whereas many people go to America, they say, jagiri chaina, kehi chaina. He is doing very fine because he spent 6-10 months preparing to go to Canada. He learned language, he learned behavior, he learned yoga, and now he has become a teacher over there. And he is doing very fine. So if you are quite prepared, right, then getting training, orientation, right, having personal contact. I had a friend about 20 years back. He was planning to go to America. And जहिले उसले के गर्यो भन्दाखेरि त्यो सिडी ल्याउने बजारबाट के को सिडी हो सर भन्यो, यो कमेडी हो भन्थ्यो, मुभी हो भन्थ्यो. कहाँको मुभी भन्दा इङ्ग्लिस मुभी. मैले इङ्ग्लिस सोचेँ. सर यति मात्र इङ्ग्लिस मुभी किन हेर्नु भन्दाखेरि सर म अब नेक्स्ट इयर अमेरिका जाँदैछु अनि यो इङ्ग्लिस मुभीहरू हेरेन भने, फुटबलहरू हेरेन भने त्यहाँ कसै बोल्नै मिल्दैन. उनीहरूले के भएर कुराहरू छ कल्चर थाहा पाउनु पऱ्यो नि. And to know American culture, he was watching web series, teleseries, football, rugby, or the culture bare tha paune. If you do this, you are prepared, right? Then, what is ethnicity? Like for example, in Nepal, Rais are ethnic people, Gurungs are ethnicity means you are less in number, you have a different race, you have different cultural background. If I go to America, for example, Chinese Americans are ethnic people. Mexican Americans are ethnic people. Korean Americans are ethnic people. Japanese Americans ethnic people. Asian ethnic people. Less in number, right? So if your number is large, then you will meet your own people mostly. and you are not in such a pressure to follow new culture. But if your number is less and you meet other people mostly, then you are under big pressure to follow new culture. Okay, personality. What is personality? Characteristics in you which do not change quickly. Like मेरो बानी छ नि, म रिसाइहाल्ने, कराइहाल्ने, कन्ट्रोल गर्न खोज्ने, कडा गर्ने, यो गर भन्ने, त्यो नगर भन्ने, that is my personality. यस्तै हो, फेर्दैन हो. You can't change me, right? Now there are three factors of personality. Openness. If you are open, you learn new culture very fast. If you are conservative, you can't learn culture very fast. Strength. If you are very mentally strong, determined people, you learn culture very fast. Positive. If you take things positive, you change. If you look things, maybe you don't change. Okay, let's summarize. So our cultural adaptation, she says, is a two-way process, right? Between a stranger and the host culture. There are lots of challenges, but we can solve them if we have determination, if we have commitment, if we have motivation to learn new culture. And in learning new culture, stress management plays important role. Your ability to adapt plays role. Your desire to grow plays role. Your social communication plays a role, personal communication plays a role, your cognitive competence, your affective competence, your interactional competence, all these factors play role. Environment plays role, host receptivity, host conformity, ethnic background plays role, your predisposition plays role, your personality, how prepared you are, how strong you are, how open you are, all these things play whether you learn new culture or not. Give me a huge applause. Sorry to have spoken all this 50-minute one-sided, right? I feel so awkward when I teach like this, but I had no option because I had a long essay, 10-page essay. I thought this is the only way to finish in one day. If I had given you to present, it will take me 10 days, right? Like the previous essay. Now, for coming essays also, I'll teach this way. Now, we move to next essay. Okay, open your book and go to the poem, The Flea. Open the poem, The Flea. Okay, so let me close and restart again.